Great to speak to you. It's funny, on a day like today, we probably would have been, and we'll get there, but we probably would have been talking about FedEx and UPS, given the fact that it is Black Friday and the beginning of peak shipping season. But let's start with the passenger airlines, just the fact that we've seen underperformance in recent weeks already, and now, of course, these big losses today as a number of countries begin to put travel curbs in place to South African countries. How sustained could this selling potentially be in the coming days, coming weeks?
Hi, Morgan. Thanks for having me. Well, it's very frustrating, of course, that this keeps happening. And obviously, the stocks can stay under pressure for a long time. I mean, they've underperformed all year long. They had a peak in March, and then they've turned down. And they continue to go down, I think, in part because of concerns about these variants, number one. Number two, concerns about what that means for people traveling or not traveling. And I think what happens, or what's been happening anyway, is as we get a new variant, people pull back on their travel, but then it tends to be shorter lived every time we've had one, and then people resume their travel. I think at this point, I think people are pretty sick of it, literally. And I think they're just wanting to get out and about. And I think that you're going to see that happen, especially for the holidays. But yeah, this is really concerning. And obviously, to your point, the stocks are really taking it on the chin today.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, U.S. airports just on Wednesday, over 2.3 million people. That is the busiest in terms of foot traffic at the airports since before the pandemic took hold in a meaningful way here in this country, February of 2020. And I think this weekend's supposed to be even busier, according to TSA officials. So are we seeing a disconnect between the realities for the airlines and the fundamentals for the airlines and what the stocks are doing?
I think so. Like I said, I think people are just sick of being called on the carpet and forced to stay home and locked down and so on. They miss their family and they want to see them. And not everybody goes home for Thanksgiving, but everybody does go home for Christmas. And I think people will travel again, especially if you're vaccinated. I mean, let's face it, we were told if we got vaccinated, we could travel. And then we were told, well, maybe you need a booster shot, we could travel. And I personally think what's going to happen is this is becoming endemic. And I think we're going to just have to deal with getting booster shots every year going forward, or every 6 months, whatever. And then over time, maybe it gets a little bit better. But I don't think we can continue to see, personally, I don't think we can continue to see these lockdowns, open, close. It frustrates people, and it engenders bad behavior when people when people do get together.
Helane, at the same time today, we are also seeing a big slump in crude. WTI down more than 8% right now at about $71.88 a barrel. As obviously a huge input cost for the airlines. Is this something that you're also watching, and do you expect sustained downward momentum in energy?
Yes, so we are watching it, but we were watching it from the inflationary side, right? That oil prices were going up, as they were until today. And then we would expect airfares to go up. So now we see the opposite. This new COVID variant is causing pressure on fuel prices. So we'll keep an eye on that. To your point, fuel prices are about 35% of total operating expenses. So that's something we worry about, obviously. And prices move up according to the forward curve, which has been somewhat backwardated over the last 6 months. So going forward in 2022, we actually saw better prices in the second half than we were currently seeing. But we actually prefer stable to slightly rising because then airlines don't get to an overcapacity situation, and nor do they cut fares to stimulate demand. I don't think we need to cut fares to stimulate demand right now. Demand's been pretty strong, as Morgan pointed out, and I think that and we think that's going to continue through the end of the year. Then we'll see probably a little bit of a slump in January for 6 weeks to mid-February. And then we should see a ramp up. And then that should continue, in our view, through the summer months.